Okay, y'all, what's up? Y'all don't understand how irritated I am because I've literally filmed, it's been probably since around this time yesterday. It's around actually it was later, but I filmed my review for day 1 and 2 of track and field and have literally recorded, edited, and attempted to put these videos up, and I've gotten them put up on Instagram and blocked like 7 times. And I've been trying to do it since I got up this morning, and here it is 5 o'clock today and I still can't get it up. So I'm now at the point now where I'm just gonna go back to the basics and just go ahead and just do a natural review as I normally would. I'm just gonna have to pull up the results because I didn't jot anything down. I was reacting to videos. I'm not gonna continue to react to videos again and again because it no longer is a genuine reaction. I'm just going to give you my thoughts on what's happened thus far and what's to come. So hopefully this probably shouldn't get blocked. And that's the thing too, I tried to put a couple bits of little clips in there like I did at the trials, and that didn't get anything that didn't get anything accomplished. And at trials, like I said, there weren't any issues with what I posted. Like I muted the sound and I just posted it as I talked, but apparently that can't work this time because that's literally what I did. But enough of me ranting, we're gonna get into this. So we're gonna talk about the women's 100-meter hurdles, women's 100 meters, period, because they just completed theirs today. They had the final, we had some record-breaking shit happen. And then we've got the 400-meter hurdles for the men and the women. The first round, the 800-meter for the women, as well as we can kind of gloss over the 4x4 mixed relay as well because that happened as well. So we got a lot to talk about. It's just so frustrating to me because it's like I didn't have any issues last time and I literally did the exact same thing and it just did not work for me. I was just like, I don't know why it will not allow me to do it, but it would not. But enough about that. We're gonna now get into it. So just pulling up the results here so I have something to go off of. All right, so we're gonna start with the 100-meter for the women. And we're just gonna talk about specific stars that I wanna talk about. We'll start with the first heat, which included Teahna Daniels from the United States, as well as Dina Asher-Smith from Great Britain. And those two were two of the stars of their heat, and those two finished 1 and 2. Teahna Daniels finished with a time of 11:04, which qualified her first, and Dina Asher-Smith had 11:07. They both had good starts. Dina particularly had a better start than Teahna, but Teahna's top speed came into play midway through the race, and she took it home with Dina kind of following behind. As you see, she's about 3/10 off. So those two moved on to the semifinal, no issue at all. So the next heat was heat 2, and this one we had Kerley and Baptiste as we had the reigning Olympic champion Elaine Thompson. Hurrah. I expected her to come out strong, and she did just that. I was expecting her to come, for some reason I thought she was going to pull back a little bit more than she did, but she came out the blocks high, and when she hit her top speed, she was breaking away from the pack really, really good. Like she was a good probably 5 or 6 meters ahead. She finished her time 10:82 with second going to, it looks like, I'm not even sure where she's from, but the second place finish was 10:95. So she had 10:82 for her first run at the Olympics 2020. So Elaine is the favorite to win, and she's setting her case early. In heat 3 we had Javianne Oliver from the United States. She finished second in her heat with a time of 11:15. Hers was, just from what I can remember, her start wasn't so great with her. She finished really well. And it's just so interesting to see those two without Sha'Carri. Because Sha'Carri, we don't have Sha'Carri at this Olympics due to them finding marijuana weed in her system, which is very unfortunate considering I don't look at that as a performance-enhancing drug, but that's what the rules are. So unfortunately she wasn't able to compete. But we've got those two, as well as Jenna Pradini. She is actually coming in to replace Sha'Carri, and she actually is in the heat number 5, I believe. Not 5, actually. Heat number 6, but we'll talk about her in a minute. Heat 5, we've got Shelly and Frazier Price, one of the icons in this field within the 100 and the 200, but just an icon in women's track and field, period. She's coming back from having a baby as like Allison. She's coming back. She had a lot of work to get back to where she needed to be to qualify, and as Allison does and as any female does after having a kid, they come back fighting critics that feel like there's no way they can get back to top speed, there's no way they can get back to top form and make another team. And as you can see, both of them have done such as Quinn Hayes as well. So it's really good to see Shelly Ann back. She finished first with 1084. So she's literally 2/10 off of Elaine for her qualifier time. She finished first. It was a pretty smooth race for her as well. She always comes out high. You know that. They call her the pocket rocket, and they don't call her that for no reason. And she proved that. I mean, she still got it. She still got it all these years later. And then, like I said, we move on to Heat 6. Heat 6 had Blessing Okagbare. She finished with 11:05 from Nigeria. With her, it sucks because she had a similar situation with Sha'Carri, except she actually got to compete in one of the races, but Blessing was disqualified and suspended from the Olympics due to them finding drugs in her system. And they found that, I guess they found this out after the fact, after the race, which I find interesting because it's like, what's the Nigerian drug test system like? I want to know how that is, because either it happened before or it had to have happened after. I don't know, because it doesn't make sense to me as to how she was still able to compete. But it's interesting that they want to drug test her after the fact, but I don't know. Maybe they were awaiting results. I'm not sure. But, yeah, so then that kind of wraps up actually, Heat 7 actually had Jenna Pradini. I forgot that one. So she was in the heat with Shericka Jackson. Shericka Jackson finished 11:07 in second place, and Jenna Pradini qualified on in with 11:11, and that is that's her season's best. So she's running her best at the Olympics for her 100 meter qualifier. So with that, we are going to move on to the semifinals. So within the semifinals, we've got 3 heats. The first heat has Elaine Thompson, Dina Asher-Smith, Jenna Pradini. Jenna Pradini, she finished 4th, literally matching her season's best 11:11, which is literally the same thing she just ran. Dina Asher-Smith, she finished 3rd with 11:05, and both of them missed out of the final. Elaine Thompson took that dub again, up in her time again, 10:76. Like I said, she's the favorite coming through. No one's run faster than her at this Olympics yet. So next in Heat 2, we've got Shericka Jackson and we've got Javianne Oliver. We've got Talu, who won that race. She put up 10:79. Shericka Jackson also 10:79. Both of those two qualified. Javianne Oliver of the United States finished 5th with a time of 11:08. So unfortunately, she is out as well. And then we move on to Heat number 3. And in Heat number 3, we've got Shelly and Frazier Price. We've got Teahna Daniels. They've got Javianne Oliver here for Nigeria, which I don't understand that. But Teahna Daniels, she finished 3rd, 10:98. That is a personal best for her, and she qualified off of time. It's usually the top 2. Well, it is the top 2 going through, but based off time will determine who else that did not finish within the top 2 will actually move on to the final, but she is one of those to move on to the final. Shelly and Frazier Price won her second heat as well. And she put up 10:73, and that's the quickest time. Yeah, I believe that's the quickest time in the semifinal. And the quickest time ran here. Yeah, that's the quickest time ran so far. So now we move on to the final. And at the final, so in the final we've got, I'm just going to say the names that I really care to talk about, I'm sorry. We've got Teahna Daniels, we've got Shericka Jackson, we've got Talu, we've got Shelly Ann Frazier Price, and we've got Elaine Thompson Harrod, the current reigning Olympic champion. And we got Teahna Daniels finishing 7th. She finished the final 7th, placing with a time of 11:02. And then we've got the top 3. It is a Jamaican shutout. They sweet. We got Sharika Jackson in 3rd, putting up her personal best, 10:76. We've got Shelly and Frazier Price coming 2nd, winning silver. 10:74 is her time. And we've got history-making Elaine Thompson, hurrah, who put up 10:61. She topped FloJo's Olympic record, and now she holds the Olympic record. Like, she just defended her title as well. She is now a back-to-back champion for the 100 meter. It's a big accomplishment for her. It's a big accomplishment for Jamaica. Just a clean sweep. And it's a big one for black women. All 3 of my black girls. It's pretty dope. And it was a really good final to watch. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. Look on YouTube, you can find it. These girls, they ran, and they ran hard. All right, y'all, so now what we're gonna do, we're gonna move over to the women's 800 meters, and I'm really only gonna focus on one person. The one person that I feel like that's the only person I really care to watch in the 800, which is Athing Mu. Athing Mu is the 19-year-old who just recently turned pro at trials. She signed with Nike. She signed with Nike at trials, became pro. That was her first pro meet. She won trials, and she's the favorite coming in. Like, she's 19 years old. She's a prodigy through and through. And she's in the right mind spaces too. That's the one thing that you see as a young athlete. You typically see some of them psych each other out, or they psych themselves out, and they just typically kind of get in a headspace where they're just so shell-shocked that they're actually at the Olympics or having these big meets with these big-time athletes. It can get into somebody's head, and with her, she is just so tunnel vision. She's so mature. She's so even keel and calm. And that's how she was in her first time at the Olympics. Like, her first track meet at the Olympics, her first time running around that track. All right, so she was in heat 3. And I believe she was in lane 2 during this heat. I want to say that. So she was on the inside. And she was running as she does. She runs like a gazelle. Like, her legs, they just they take the strides that you want to have as a track athlete. You don't want to take too many steps. And she does what you want to do. And she just kind of glides, and it's like she's just floating. And that's what she did. She was cool, calm, and collected. That's the thing with the 800 as well. That would be one race that I couldn't run, because trying to come in and get on the inside, coming around the curve, I swear I would get tripped up. And there was one point coming around the last 400, she kind of got tripped up a little bit, but she didn't let it phase her. So she definitely wasn't off balance. She still kept up with what she was doing. But that right there could be scary. That right there could be something that could definitely throw you off your game. But she didn't, and she came through, and she won that heat. She put up 2:01, 2 minutes and 1 second. She won that heat, like I said, and she moves on to the semifinal. And I said I wasn't going to talk about anybody else, but we're going to talk about Raven Rogers from the United States. She won her heat. She was in heat 4. She put up 2:01.42 to Athing's 2:01.10. And in the last heat that we had Ajay Wilson. She, on her coming around the last 400, that was a very nerve-wracking thing to watch, because she kind of slipped from, like, because you want to try and stay up front. You don't want to necessarily be all the way up front if you want to give chase coming around the last 400. If you want to at least be able to see somebody and have them give you a pace and then know when to strike whenever it's time to strike, that would be something that you would typically want to do. And whenever it's time to make your move, make your move. And that's what you could tell Ajay was trying to do, but she definitely got a little caught up within the group as well, and kind of slipped back to like 5th or 6th at one point. And that was coming around the last curve. She was pushing it outside, trying her best to get from 6th to at least within one of those top 3 qualifying spots, and she had to fight, and she fought. And she got in, and she finished 2nd with a time of 2 minutes. So she fought her ass off, and she got a great time. So she qualified for the semifinal, so we're going to move on to the semifinal. And with the semifinal in heat number 1, we've got Ajay. And Ajay, she finished 4th in this heat. So she did not qualify to go on to the final. It's quite disappointing. She did finish 2 minutes. Just sucks that she just missed out, but she had a great run. Athing Mu was in the next heat. She ran 150. This one, she ran very aggressively. And with the first with the qualifier, she was running, and you could tell she was just running just to kind of get a feel of how the track is when running the race. Whereas with the semifinal, you could tell she was coming out more aggressive. She came out really hard, and she kept it all the way through. She was leading the pack the entire time, the first 400, and finished the last 400 in front. And she literally, she went sub 2 minutes. She put 1 minute and 58 seconds. She qualified for the final, which we all knew was gonna happen, and she did her thing. She did the damn thing. So we have to wait to see the final. So we'll see the final really soon. I'm thinking that she's gonna do it. I think she has a very strong chance at winning gold. 19 years old. Yeah, so now we're gonna move on to the 400 meter hurdles, the men and the women. In the men and the women, we have actually three of my favorite athletes. We've got, for the men, we've got Rai Benjamin of USC. He's the truth. Like, I really enjoy watching him run. He's no joke. I really enjoy it. Like I said, he's a runner that is well on his way to being one of the best to ever run in that field and in that event. So, and this is his first Olympics, so it's very interesting to see how he is in his first Olympics, because you know there's jitters, and I can imagine just going and you're excited but you're nervous all at the same time, and sometimes that can either throw you off your game or give you your best results. And for his for him in particular, it's looking like we might get some of his best results. So we will talk about his heat. He was in the heat, let's see, Rai was in heat number 5. So he was in the last heat of the qualifier, and he went ahead and he took, I'm trying to remember his race as well. He was, I believe, in lane, he might have been in lane 3 or 6. He might have been in 6, I want to say 6. And he kept up with his stride patterns, as if you watched his Olympic trial qualifier, he was stutter stepping all throughout that bitch. And he was not doing that the entire time. He kept up with his stride pattern. He typically takes about 13 steps within each hurdle. And he kept with that the whole time. He was running his race. He wasn't thinking about anything that was going on around him. He came around really, really strong and was bouncing through, like jogging bouncing. And he put up 48.60. He qualified in first. And he's moving on to the semifinals. We don't have their semifinal yet. But that's what's coming as well. I'm excited for him. He's going to be a showdown between him and Playboy that broke their world record back at Diamond League, like I believe earlier this month. But yeah, I'm excited about that. So now we're going to move on to the main event, which is Sydney McLaughlin and Dalilah Muhammad, as well as Anna Cockerell. This right here, I'm telling you, this is the main event. This is what most people are excited to see, because as we all know, anytime Sydney and Dalilah race each other, at least in the past 3 meets that they've had where they've met each other and competed against each other, a world record was set and broken. 2 of which were done by Dalilah, here most recently at trials with Sydney McLaughlin, and she is now the first woman ever to run sub 52 with 51.90 as her personal best, as well as the world lead. Sydney is the favorite coming in. She's my favorite. I'm very excited for her. She's about to turn 22 next week. Leo gang, straight up. Like, Sydney, she's dope. Like, I just love Sydney. She's definitely the future of track and field. She actually trains with Allison Felix. If you didn't already know that, you now know that. She trains with Allison Felix, with Bobby Kirsty. And there's this video that actually went up on Team USA's Instagram. And it's just so, it's really speaking for itself. Like, it's the 2 of them just walking, and it's just the 2 of them walking. It's very powerful to me, because it looks like, because it's like Allison, this is her last Olympics. This is her last run around the track competitively and professionally. And it's kind of like she's passing the torch off to Sydney now, because Allison is the most decorated female track athlete of all time, and she's one medal away from tying with Carl Lewis for the most medals. So it's like it's dope to see the GOAT with the young GOAT. But yeah, enough talking about all of that. We're now going to talk about their heats and their results. All right, so in heat 1 we had Anna Cockerell. She was in her first heat. And her first heat, because they were saying outside in Tokyo, it was very, very hot out there and very humid. They were running, at the time Anna was running, it was 91 degrees out there. And I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and out here, when it's 91 degrees, it's hot as fuck, and it's very humid. So that's not the best running conditions to be running in, but she did what she needed to do. Anna was running around the track. She was doing her best. She definitely kicked it into high gear coming home. She did look a little heavy, but I can definitely chop that up to just the heat in general. It's hard to run in heat like that. And she came home and she qualified. She's in the top 3. She finished 3rd with a time of 55:37. She did what she needed to do in that moment of time. She just needed to go rest and get ready for her semifinal. But she's safely through, so yeah, she's good. And Anna, that's the thing with Anna too. Anna's from Charlotte as well. I love that. But she's had a lot of struggles with just keeping herself calm and keeping herself maintained. She's got a lot of anxiety considering the fact that she's on the biggest stage she can ever be on in this sport. So, and granted, she's young too. She's 23 years old, but she's good. Like, this is her first Olympics. So I feel like she's gonna do really well. She might not get to the final, but it's her first time. She's got many years ahead of herself. So now we're gonna move on to heat number 3. This is the heat with the world record holder, Miss Sydney McLaughlin. She is in a field of her own, truthfully. She took the race out very, very solid. Sydney's been now switching legs when coming over hurdles, if you watch. And I feel like that is purposely being done by Sydney just so she can continue to just improve too, because as you know, before her training switch with coaches, she kind of struggled on her left side, which at Worlds with Dalilah, when she came around, I believe it was hurdle 8, she had to switch legs, and that's what kind of killed her momentum coming home. And she's been working on that, and you can tell she's been working on it. As you know, she's been working with Bobby Kersey on running indoor 60 meters and outdoor 100s. That's helped her out as well, just with her technique and being able to get in between each one of those hurdles quickly and switching those legs as well. She killed it. Like, she came the last 100. She separated herself so wide, like, it's not even funny. Like, the Bleacher Report put up a picture showing the difference in how far ahead she was from second place. She killed it, and it was 54. She put up 54.65, and she jogged that. So with her jogging that, we're in for something serious. I feel like she is literally going to break her world record. I'm going to say it now. I think she's going to break her world record. She might go sub 40. She's going to go sub 50, if you ask me. I feel like she's going to go sub 50. I said it here. 51.90 is her current personal best world record. I believe she's going to go sub 51. I believe it. So we'll see. Next, we are going to move on to the next as well, who is the current world champion, the current Olympic champion, a 2-time world record holder, and really Sydney's only competition, truthfully, Dalilah Muhammad. She comes in, like I said, she's coming to defend her title. She, like Sydney, just tore that heat up. But the difference is, with Sydney and Dalilah, which Sydney has gotten more aggressive coming out, Dalilah always is aggressive coming out. She always is never afraid to take the race out, as you know, as I know, as God knows. And that's what she did. She just came out hard, and she just took it home. She jogged 53.97. She put up the best time in all of the heats. And that's the world champion. That's the Olympic champion. Like, you know, she's here. And she's not playing games. If you want that gold, you got to come get it from her. But yeah, I'm very excited about the two of them. I'm ready to see them run together again, run against each other. They're both in 2 different heats coming for the semifinal. So that's setting us up in the build-up for their final run up against each other. And that's going to be something to watch. Now we are going to move on to the 100-meter hurdles for the women. So in heat 1, we've got Gabbi Cunningham. Gabbi Cunningham, she's from Charlotte. She is a Mallard Creek alumni. I'm a Mallard Creek alumni. She graduated 2 years, I believe, after I did. She is the first Mallard Creek alum to make it to the Olympics. So she's putting Mallard Creek on the map. I'm excited for her because at the Olympic trials, if you watch, she barely was off the team. Like, she tied with Christina Clemons, but Christina outleaned her, which got her off the team. But unfortunately for Brianna McNeil, who is the current Olympic champion, the reigning Olympic champion. She qualified to come to the Olympics, but due to her missing a drug test back in January, she wasn't able to get that 5-year ban appealed to come to Tokyo, which sucks considering it was literally due to an abortion, which is her body, her choice, which sucks that she's being penalized for that. But to that sucking for her, it's a very good and exciting thing for Gabbi as well, because she gets to run, and she's here, she's in her first heat. And Gabbi came out strong. She did what she needed to do in the first heat. I can tell she wasn't doing too much, wasn't trying to do too much, because she was trying to preserve her energy, but you have to do just enough to get to the next round. And she did that. She finished third. She put up 12.83. She qualified to move on to the semifinal. She did what she needed to do. In the next heat, we had Keni Harrison. Keni Harrison is one of the favorites to win gold up against Jasmine, Camacho, Quinn. But she is in this heat by herself and in a field of her own, truthfully. She came out here and she took the race out as she always does. She separated herself midway through, I believe, like hurdle 5. She just took it from there. Put up 12.74. She killed it. Like, she literally killed it. And she's ready. She's waited 5 years for this. So, she's the world record holder as well. So, like, she's got a lot. She's got a lot of accolades. She's got a lot that she wants to prove and prove to herself. So it's dope that she was able to put that up as well. She's moving on to the semifinal as we expected. We'll move on to heat 4, and this is the heat with Christina Clemons. Christina Clemons is another one that I'm really, really excited about. She's one of my favorites. I just love her and her husband as well. If you don't, go check out their if you are in Kansas, in the Kansas area, go check out their restaurant as well. They did just open a restaurant together. But yeah, they've got that coming. But yeah, she's finally at the Olympics. He was actually at the Olympics, Kyle Clemons. He was actually at the Olympics last go around, and it's her turn this time. She's literally been trying to get there for the past 3 Olympics. In 2012, she almost made the team. She was in the final at the Olympic trials, fresh off of her 2012 NCAA win. She was injured 2016, so she's got the story that makes her so rootable as well. And she loves Doritos, as you know, with them Doritos earrings. But Christina is in this heat, and Christina did very well. Christina always takes, her start is always her strongest point, because she always comes out strong. She comes out those blocks high and be ready. So she put up 12.91. She qualified second in her heat, so she's moving on. Easy for Christina. She didn't do too much. She's saving her energy, as most do. Then we move on to heat 5, Jasmine Camacho Quinn, who is also, like I said, one of the favorites to win. She actually went to University of Kentucky, but she is representing Puerto Rico. So it's really interesting to see her here as well representing. It's just interesting to see her not competing as an American, even though she is Puerto Rican as well. But I'm just used to seeing her in a Kentucky uniform. But she put up 12.41. That is the quickest time for the 100-meter hurdles for the women here in Tokyo thus far. So she's looking like the clear favorite to win gold. She ran that very smooth as well. So we could be seeing a very nice time either coming from her or Keni Harrison or anybody else possibly. They up their game. But we got a very, very solid group for the 100-meter hurdles for the women as well. So I'm excited to see how the semifinal is going to turn out, as well as the final. I would love to see those 4 that I just named in that final. And I would love to see at least 3 of them on that podium holding one of those medals. So now we're going to talk about the men's 100-meter, their first round. So in heat 1, we've got Ronnie Baker from the United States. He was tearing this one up. He ran this one. His start was nice. He came out strong. Top speed. He started to hit top speed, but then he pulled back because he's not trying to exert all that energy too quick in your first round. And he won that one easy. 10.03 he put up, and he qualified. And is heading on to the semifinals. Easy win for him. We move on to heat number 2. And heat number 2 has my favorite out of the American 100-meter men, Trayvon Brommel. And this one, I was expecting a completely different result than what actually happened. So in this, I don't know, because I was expecting Trayvon to kind of come out and not be too hard. Like, you preserve your energy as well, but Trayvon came out and his start was not great. Typically, you know, his start is always very, very strong. He's the best in the world at this moment in time. And he was getting dusted. The first 40 meters, he was not up front. Like, he was within like maybe third, fourth. And he ended up finishing fourth, which was crazy to me. It blew my mind and made me kind of sit back and be like, okay, is he injured? Like, what happened? I was so confused. I don't know. I have to watch some of his interviews if he even did some to see where he was in his mindset. But I'm chopping it up to him just possibly not trying to do too much with it being the first round as well, just to preserve energy. But it got a little scary at the end. It was like, so is he going to qualify to move on to the semis? But he put up a time of 10:05, so he did qualify. Scraped on in, but I expect him to, in the semifinals, I expect him to come out just as hard as he typically does. So I'm not too worried about that. We're going to move on to heat number 5. And heat number 5 has 2 athletes that I'm very excited about. Kerley, typically he's running 400. He's in the 100 right now. He did try to run the 200 as well to make the team, but he didn't make the team for the 200. But he's here for the 100, and he's up against one of my favorites as well, Andre Grasse from Canada. He also went to USC. Andre came out and put up his season's best, 9:91, and that's the fastest time, I believe. Let me check. 9:91. Yeah, that's the fastest time in this qualifier for the men. Andre came out booming, like, no joke, but Kerley was right there behind him, 9:97. He sub 10, that was dope for him too. Like, they both came out really, really strong. This men's final is probably going to shape out to be one that possibly could be world record breaking. So I'm excited about that as well. I'm just very excited about these races. I feel like it can do. I feel like in each one of these events, something crazy could happen. Something special could definitely happen. And I'm excited to see it. The 4x4 mixed relay. For the mixed 4x4 meter relay, I'm just going to gloss over this one. This one is the final. And then the final for the finishing third was the U.S. We had Trevor Stewart, Kendall Ellis, love Kendall Ellis from USC. We had Kalen Whitney and Vernon Norwood on the team, as well as placing with silver. We've got the Dominican Republic, and winning gold was Poland. It was a close race at the end between the US and the DR. The US was looking like we were about to get silver, but towards the end, homeboy kind of tired out, but got on the podium, got medals. So that was the first 2 days of competition. We've got the next 3 and 4. I'm planning on just doing the next 3 days. But like I said, it's been a struggle to get a video out reviewing this and giving my thoughts as well. It'll be a lot more put together and a lot more expansive in terms of my commentary. I'm just trying to get this done. So I will talk to y'all later. Like this video if you like what you see. Comment down below who you're rooting for, what you thought, who you think is going to take gold for these events. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Just how this is. We ain't going to have no more issues. Talk to y'all later.